Welcome to the Church Digital Podcast. Through this podcast, we'll talk about the technological innovations within the church. But more than tech for tech itself, we'll address deeper questions. Is disciple making possible digitally? How should we approach the digital mission field? Can a biblically grounded church operate in digital space? Oh, and where does the metaverse and artificial intelligence fit into all of this? Whether you're a big or small church, the Church Digital's goal is to help churches like yours learn to be a multiplying church, digitally and physically. And now here's your host, Jeff Reed.
Hey, it's episode, I'm just going to start over, y'all. Sorry to be you. Hopefully I'll be a little more streamlined this time. Hey, episode 320. Episode 320 of the Church Digital Podcast. This is the last podcast episode recording for the year 2024. It's been a great year. We are taking, we're going to take a little break on the podcast. We've got a lot of changes coming up in 25. Now, if you know me, it's like, dear God, Jeff, more changes? Yes, more changes. And it's a lot. It's a lot of fun right now, seeing a team that gets excited and can run and is excited about some of the paths that we're on, and even partnering with other people that want to come on board with this. And so there's a lot of fun right now. 24 has been a great year for us. We've made some changes in leadership along the way. January 1st, 2024, Bernie McPeely was in the leader position of the Church Digital. In 23, as you may recall, had taken a break really from leadership. It had stepped back from the Church Digital and a couple of my other fractional leadership jobs, and basically took a sabbatical of sorts in 24. In 23, and Bernie stepped in to lead the organization, and he and Andy did a great job maintaining the org in my absence, and really keeping the seat warm for me to come back. 24, I did come back, and it's been a sprint of sorts ever since. And bringing on probably the best acquisition I've ever done in the history of ever. At least the most impact was bringing on Barbara Carnero into the Church Digital fold here in 24 January, which was an awesome pickup, communications and connections from a strategic standpoint. Barbara is revolutionary, and really, she's. I respect when people push back on me, because I know I'm a type A guy. I'm not a bully. I used to be a bully, but I can railroad a situation through if I gun to my head if I had to. And when somebody pushes, this is the secret to Jeff Reed. When somebody pushes back on me, I listen. Because they're impassionate enough about the idea to like stand up to me and be like, hey, yo, Jeff, you're missing it here. And Barbara's done that several times. And you know what? When she's done it, she's been right. And so that falls away from me. Picking Barbara up and bringing her into the Church Digital, her and the Word Revolution team really set us off for an incredible adventure for 24. Leighton, seeing what he's doing in the relationships, connecting. Andy, the stuff that he's been doing with asynchronous. You got to realize in 24, we launched a new website. We launched into Discord, and we launched into WhatsApp, both in 24. We were not in either of these communities. We were in that community we do not speak of, Mighty Networks, Mighty Networks, that may not have been that good for us, Mighty Networks. But that being said, the move into Discord has been, and from an engagement standpoint, it's been phenomenal. And WhatsApp, believe it or not, has been like 6 weeks. Like, it's brand spanking new. And so we're already seeing success on those platforms moving forward. And so we're really excited about the road of 24. And I haven't even gotten to the secret of JMO. But hey, that's 24. And with this podcast, as we're wrapping up the year of 24, this is not really a celebration for 24 as much as it is 5 things. 5 things that you can expect from the Church Digital in 2025. Where is the Church Digital going in 2025? Well, that's a great question. Now, you all are the streamers, you're the podcast listeners, you're the people on the that are taking the time to watch me ramble on for an hour or so. So good for you. But the flip side of that is yeah, I'm known to say some things before they should be public, and Barbara is always wanting to say, Jeff, you don't want to say that yet. And it's like, yeah, I really do. And so, look, I'm looking at my little list here, my little notepad on the Apple app, and I've got 5 things. Now, 3 of them may be like a bomb drop, like a mic drop here. Like there may be a surprise when we're saying some of this. So this is either going to be a really awesome, oh my gosh, I can't believe Jeff's, the Church Digital, I can't believe they're doing this. Or it may be, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see how the Spirit leads. We'll see what mood that I'm in here as we're getting further along that. But hey, here we go. 5 things to expect from the Church Digital in 2025. Let's go number 1. We're getting into it. Number 1. We're going to expect YouTube to crash on me. No. Well, yes, you can probably expect YouTube to crash on me because it's been known to do that. But no, seriously, that was a throwaway. Number 1, we, the Church Digital, we're going global. And we're actually on the road of that right now. Like, so funny. I was sitting down with a friend this morning for breakfast, and he's like, is there anybody else from that lasagna conference? Lausanne Congress. Yeah. Okay. If the Lausanne conference wasn't enough, if the Church Digital being exposed as a digital missionary sending agency to 5,000 global leaders in Seoul, South Korea, and another, 15,000, 20,000, 21,000 watching online. Yes, there is a huge opportunity to see the Church Digital getting exposed and getting light and getting these ideas out into other continents, other regions, other people groups, empowering people with the ability to reach, engage, and disciple people in digital space. Like, oh my gosh, that is such a beautiful opportunity. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. We're already doing it, and you don't even realize it. And so this is probably leak number 1. And some of my Discord friends, I'm sorry, but we've been running a beta behind your back. So I said JMO earlier and some of the stuff that he's been doing. Well, this is the stuff he's been doing. Jason, earlier this year in 24, he was working to develop a digital discipleship process because as a church planting organization, we needed our own discipleship program and to help disciple potential planters. That was the plan. Well, as we really were going through the material and as we were talking to planters and digital missionaries and normies, they didn't need a discipleship program. I can remember I was talking to the head of navigators in Nigeria. I think it was Nigeria. It was an African country. By the way, Navigators has an incredible discipleship process. Their discipleship process is better than anything we could come up with on our own. And he was talking to me not about like being discipled. Shoot, he could teach me a thing or two about being discipled. What he was looking for was coaching centered around and help to be a digital missionary. He wanted me to empower the Church Digital, to empower his team to be digital missionaries. And really, he became the kind of the paramount example for us of we're getting it wrong. Like, we're trying to help people plant churches, but a lot of the people that are coming to us aren't planters. We're trying to disciple people that don't need to be discipled. Now, discipleship's hugely important. It's part of it. But really, they're not looking for just exclusive discipleship. They're looking for equipping. And that can be like spiritual equipping, or that can be technical equipping, or that can be strategic, tactical equipping. And so we really started wrestling with the idea of theological, technical, and tactical. Well, this is what it looks like to equip theologically, technically, or tactically towards that. And so I challenged JMO. Hey, dude, I want you to create a equipping digital missionaries cohort. We need to strategically equip digital missionaries. If we are pivoting to a digital missionary model, which we decided to do, then our paradigm is to equip them. Remember the framework for the Church Digital. We're connecting with digital missionaries or people. We're inviting them into communities. Within those communities, we invite them to become digital missionaries. We show them the opportunity of what's involved with that, and then we equip them to be digital missionaries. And that's really the cohort is the front door. And my man JMO, he did it. Now I could actually show you the first draft of his equipping digital missionary course, because I think the dude's head exploded on a Google Doc. Like, it was just I think the technical term is logoria, like word explosion on a Google document. Everything that was in this guy's head, which, if you know Jason, incredibly smart. JMO's probably the smartest guy I know in digital church space. And he put it all on that Google Doc. And it was convoluted. It was disorganized. It was shambled, but it was beautiful. If you've ever watched Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind, when that dude gets on a chalkboard and starts to map out the world, or mathematic equations or whatever, that's what this Google Doc was. And so it took me a couple days to sit down and map it out, but we did. We created an equipping digital missionaries course, and then we said, hey, we're gonna beta this. We're gonna beta this to 6 people. Just keep it small, keep it simple. Let's do one beta in 24. Just so we can get our feet under us, we get some experience with it, and then we're gonna roll this thing out publicly in a big way. And something really interesting happened. We went to Seoul, and we started talking face to face with missionaries, and it was interesting. We weren't going to talk about the course, and I did it. The first person I talked with, I talked about the cohort, equipping digital missionaries. And the second person I talked with, I said equipping digital missionaries. And then he caught on and he started talking about it. And oh my gosh, all we did at this cohort all we did at the Congress was talk about equipping digital missionaries. And there was so much interest in doing this. And Jason looks over at me a couple of days in and he says, hey, that quiet beta? Yeah. That quiet beta of 6 is not going to be a quiet beta of 6. It's like, oh yeah. We're there's no way we're getting that quiet beta. And that quiet beta is launching. We've had almost 70 people at this point register to learn how to be a digital missionary through the Church Digital. 70 people across 6 continents. And that's the beta. Literally, it's multiple people groups. And the beautiful thing is, the people that are wanting to do this, they're wanting to contextualize it in their own language, to reach their own people groups, to reach the areas. People from India and Southeast Asia, people from Oceania and the Pacific region, people from the Middle East, people from Africa. I told you Tope, I was like, my gosh, we've got 7 or 8 people that are just from Nigeria that's in Utope, Simon. We had so many people. I was like, hey dude, I need you to step up and teach this course. This course doesn't even exist yet. That's cool. We'll get you the material in enough time for you to see it. We're still developing it, but we need you to teach this. and they're doing it, man. They stepped up. We're offering equipping digital missionaries. Actually, I don't even know how many cohorts we're offering. We're doing 2 in Americas. Okay. The 3rd is going to be Africa. The 4th is going to be Europe. The 5th is going to be the Middle East and India. I think that's it. And then there is eventually will be a 6th. We'll launch into Oceania in January of 25. It's crazy. Like it's been beautiful to see these ideas of digital mission work go globally, and to see global people get excited about the potential of reaching, engaging, and discipling people in digital space. All the friction that we see in America, and I just smile because I know the U.S. church. I told my friend today at breakfast, I was like, yeah, I don't have as much credibility here, even in my own backyard in Miami, as I do globally. There's a lot more respect for what I'm doing outside of the U.S. And that's sad. It's frustrating, but at the end, it's rewarding because I finally found the audience that's receptive towards this. And man, it's going to be so great when we get 70 digital missionaries and empower them and mobilize them in a global space. So stay tuned for that. 5 things to expect. Number 1. Equipping digital missionaries the cohort is going to take the Church Digital global. Now, hey, I'm interested in more information on equipping digital missionaries. Check out our website, thechurch.digital/EDM. That's where there's some information on the course overall, as well as in its beta form, as well as a form you can sign up for. These cohorts are closed. I hate to do that to you. They are closed. We are not taking anybody else on. Unless you can write a 5-figure check, at what point I may reconsider doing a special invitation for you. I'm not kidding, but we're not going to bring anybody else into these cohorts. But if you fill out the form, we'll get you on the waiting list. We will be ramping up and doing these in January, and we're gonna see the idea of equipping digital missionaries flourish moving forward. So be a part of that. Check out thechurch.digital/EDM. EDM is short for equipping digital missionaries, and not which I always hear in my head anytime I say EDM. To be honest, I hear that in my head all day long, whether or not I'm talking about equipping digital missionaries or just life. All right, moving on. Number 1, the Church Digital is going global. Number 2, the Church Digital is going accountable. As in our going into a digital missionary sending agency, we're also pivoting into a nonprofit model, which puts me, the founder and currently president of the Church Digital, in a position of accountability, where basically I now have a group of people who I have said have permission to fire me. Like, I have a board of directors over me and over the organization. And to be honest, that has been some of the most, I think the word is cathartic. That has been so freeing and very welcome from a leadership standpoint. Like, I have loved the fact that I have a board of directors now, and they are excited about the potential. They're on board with what we're doing. I have a high level of trust with who we have now, and I've got 5 people, men and women that are coming on board with us. And there's another group that we're going to be onboarding probably within the next 3 or 4 months as well. Like, we want to see the board grow international, grow global, towards that. It's mostly a U.S. I say that it's an international crowd, but they're U.S. based. They're mostly here in Miami, with the board at this point. But the board holds me accountable. Like, hey, Jeff, where are we with this? You said you were going to work on this. What happened? And I'm not kidding. They contractually in our bylaws, they have the ability to fire me, which means we got to do stuff. Like, this isn't just a sit around and talk about it. This is not waxing philosophic on digital ministry or waxing even, theological. We are not a digital mission advocacy group. We're a sending agency. We've got to be sending people out to do digital missions. Well, how are we equipping? How are we sending? How are we connecting? What's the community look like? Our funnel's got to be operating at all four levels for us to be effective. And is it? Where does it need to improve? Where does it need to tighten? But more than that, what I'm finding by having a board is, hey, Jeff, do you know who this person is? You should really connect with them. They'd be a great relationship for you to have. Hey, Jeff, have you met this person? This is a potential donor who, I've been talking with them and they love the idea about what you're doing. Like the positive payoff has far outweighed the negative payoff, the negative connotation surrounding having a board. It's funny. I was actually very negative towards the idea of a board. I'll be honest. Like I was like, I don't want the board telling me what to do. And it's still early, but at this point, the board's not telling me what to do. The board is giving me, they're holding me accountable to what I want to do. It's almost like, hey, Jeff, well, how do you see things going? Okay, let's do that. How can we help? And then is it working or is it not working? And what do we need to do to fix it? It's funny. There was the first time I ever launched, this is going to be a weird story. Sorry. The first time I launched a multi-site campus, this is way back. This is like 2006. And we were launching it in Homestead, Florida, off of Christ Fellowship, Miami, very early in the multi-site process. And it was a setup and tear down. Okay. And it was a school cafetorium. Like, it was basically, we converted a school cafeteria. So it was like taking, we had this 1,100 person worship center in Palmetto Bay, Florida. Beautiful facility, IMAX screens, like, state of the art technology in 2006. So people were used to going to church in that building, plush seats, and instead we take them down to piece of garbage school cafetorium where elementary kids eat food, with horrible acoustics and a 10-foot roof and 150-foot long, 30-foot wide. Like, it was a nightmare to engage in. And that's the worship environment. And there were people that loved it because it was missional and creating something new. And then there were people that hated it because they were consuming it, and they were looking at not as a mission opportunity, but consuming. And the product that they were consuming in the Homestead campus was not as good because the facility wasn't as good. And I remember I would get people chewing my ear off, from a consumeristic perspective. Well, it's better here. How can we make this better? How can we do this? How can we do this? And, this is the problem. And it was funny. I said at the time, as one person was chewing my ear off in particular at the setup and tear down. I was loading the trailer. Literally, I had to drive in a trailer every day, every Sunday, worth of hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars worth of gear, and just put it into a trailer and drive it back and forth an hour between campuses. And anyway, at the end of it, as I was doing this, I looked at this person and was like, hey, if you really want to complain and have it mean anything to me, complain while loading the trailer. And it was funny. The person did not. They were actually offended, and I actually got yelled at by a pastor for offending the person and not, accusing them. But the reality was, rude or not, complaints mean a lot more when you got, some shoulder grease involved in it, when you got dirt underneath your fingernails. And I am looking forward to having a board, to having people that are going to get dirt under the fingernails. Leadership means more from people that have dirt underneath their fingernails. And so I would challenge a lot of you as you're looking at 25. Who can you involve in those conversations? Who can you invite to get dirt under their fingernails? Dirt's weird with digital ministry, but you know what I'm saying. Who can you involve in this process that can make your ideas better? Like, it's so often when I talk with digital missionaries and digital planters, like, that's the thing. I've said this dozens of times, hundreds of times probably. If you can't get someone to come with you on this journey, then how are you going to ever convince a stranger to join you in that journey? Like, the people are going to be far more loyal to you. Build on that and listen to them as they're figuring out, because they have a unique perspective. Accountability, company is a great thing to look forward to. And we're going to be getting into this in 25. Number 3, partnerships and projects. 5 things to expect from the Church Digital in 25. Partnerships and projects. Let's call that number 3. Maybe that's 3A and 3B. Oh my gosh. And this is some of the stuff even building off of Lausanne and after Lausanne. So many conversations involving global organizations at this point. Some of the people that we have coming into this Equipping Digital Missionaries cohort at a global level is very exciting. We're kind of like the new kid on the block a little bit, where it's the first time in that space. And so a lot of these areas, everybody knows everybody. And, ooh, what's this guy working on? What are they offering, and how does it fit in? And so we've got some key partnerships that are under development, let's say, at this point. And so we're going to be really excited when some of this stuff comes out. And I probably can't leak anything here. I really want to. I really, really want to. But this, a lot of the partnerships is maybe a little too soon. Now, some of the projects we're working on a research project with Lausanne, talking about the effectiveness of digital community for discipleship, evangelism, and discipleship. And that's beautiful. We're talking with, if you guys have not met Anesh yet, Anesh hangs out with us in YouTube and Discord, I believe. I see him more in YouTube, Discord and WhatsApp, but I see him more in WhatsApp. But he's been coming on and helping us do some research work. And he's actually is going to be helping us get started in India as well, working alongside some of the team in India. That's just one of the projects we're working on, and partnering with some of the global organizations to create best practices. And not only best practices, but stats and stories, quantitative and qualitative research for how community is effective for discipleship and evangelism in digital space. And the beauty is, that wasn't my idea. Like, this was a group from Lausanne that sat around, that was on 4 continents, I think, maybe 5. 5 continents, sure, we can count that guy. 5 continents, and they come up with the idea of this. And it's so exciting, some of the stuff that's happening there. There's some other projects we're talking to different organizations about coming on board. And I'm going to get into one of the projects here in a little bit. Not quite time yet, but when I look at 25, I see opportunities, man. 25 is Um, COVID is over, asterisk. It's still a thing. But in America, we're trying to go back to the way that it was. What's interesting is there's hundreds of countries around the world that aren't going back to the way that it was. They're recognizing, hey, there's some shifts, things are different here. And how we were operating pre-COVID is different. And they're adapting to a different strategy. And with the church digital, I've always said we need to go with the goers. I was just talking about this with Craig Whitney on the podcast a couple weeks ago. We want to go with the goers. We want to do it doers. This is not sit around and wait. This is be active in going. And if the U.S. church wants to go to the buildings, okay. There's still things they need to learn, but the church digital aspect, we will be focused through the church digital on helping digital missionaries be effective. And if there's some U.S. based digital church missionaries, awesome. We're going to go with them and help them. Some of them you are watching this stream right now. However, if there's some that are outside of that are global, that want to be encouraged, it's beautiful. I've talked about this. There's actually the U.S. based missionary that we have been working with and the international based missionary that we're discovering. There's two different personas. Forgive me if I've said this before. I don't think I've said this on the stream. The United States persona, the people we've met, were the people that understood digital ministry. They had some awareness of technology. It was more of like a digital marketer or a gamer, somebody that knew how the process worked, but did not and wanted to do things with that knowledge for Christ. But when they would talk with their U.S. church or their U.S. pastor, they did not give permission to the idea. Like they would not embrace the idea, therefore frustrating the U.S. digital missionary. I mean, I've had hundreds of those conversations. That's the persona. And a lot of those people are in our Discord. It's what we do. For years, it was validation. Hey, your idea is not bad. That's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, so some of their concerns can be answered here. You're doing that, just recognize that. And hey, you know what? You probably should talk to so-and-so. They're doing something similar to you. Maybe you two could work together. Would you like me? Oh, you want me to introduce? Okay, yeah, let me introduce you to them. That was the U.S. persona. Globally, the persona is not a digital person that wants to do missions work. Globally, it's missionaries that want to do digital. People that already have a calling to be a missionary, but are now understanding if I can adopt and understand how to utilize digital, I can extend my reach. I can connect with that village that's in the rural area where they have cell phones. I can go beyond the physical reach of my car or my bicycle. I can multiply the ideas beyond what I as a person am capable of doing. Like, it's not use my giftings for Christ. It's I've been called to do this. I need to learn new skill set. And it's really interesting to see how those personas kind of, combat's not the right word, but how we can consistently message to both of those personas. How we have the one that's a digital savvy and one that's a mission savvy personnel. And I'm even just talking U.S. and global mindset. Like there's a lot of bifurcated different categories when you look at those two next to each other. And so that's some of the opportunities that we've got with the Church Digital, trying to reach a bifurcated mindset. So number 3, a lot of our partnerships and projects we've got coming up. Stay tuned on that. It's a big deal. as we continue to take these ideas global. Number 4, 5 things to expect from the Church Digital in 2025. Number 4, let's go ahead and do 2 things here. Expect a lot of YouTube and expect a lot of WhatsApp. I've said this before. We'll talk about YouTube. Let's talk about WhatsApp first. I said this before. WhatsApp will be the platform of choice for the Church Digital. I believe that wholeheartedly. I love Discord, and I wish Discord was more viable internationally. Unfortunately, it's not. Discord is a very bandwidth heavy platform, and a lot of our international friends really struggle to engage with Discord. Oh my gosh, from a strictly like operational standpoint, I wish that was not the case. From a feature standpoint, the ability to stream into a Discord room, or to be able to like this Discord stage, or to do an online call with a dozen people in a Discord room with the tic-tac-toe grid, the Brady Bunch grid. The Discord platform is so powerful. It is so rich. It is so everything that I would ever want in an asynchronous platform. It is perfect, except for the fact that it's a bandwidth hog. And somebody that's running 4G in a third world country struggles to engage in that platform. And we can't ignore the person that's trying to engage in the third world country. And so I can either have the feature heavy platform that doesn't work internationally, or we can choose the platform that already has 2 billion with a B, 2 billion people internationally active using it. Literally 25% of the world's population has this already installed on their cell phones, WhatsApp. Guys, we didn't think long about that. WhatsApp is the platform of choice. And so all of our leadership conversations are already happening on WhatsApp. We've got subgroups that are running entirely on WhatsApp. And so we're going to continue to build out WhatsApp. We'll continue to build out Discord. And Discord right now, I mean, we're close to 500. Like, I would love to get to Discord 500 by the end of the year. And I think that's reasonable. So Discord's at 500. WhatsApp's, I want to say, it's probably 100, 150. Maybe I haven't looked at that number recently. But there's viability in Discord that's not going away. And as far as I'm concerned, like I think we run both those communities simultaneously. We're not sunsetting Discord. Far from it. Like let's let it thrive on what it is. But when you look at the U.S. potential and the global potential, and the success that we're seeing globally, and the hunger that we're seeing globally, WhatsApp is going to thrive for us in a big way. I joke about it's gunpowder on a flame, man. It's going to explode in any minute now. And so gasoline on a flame, maybe a little. Well, that's pretty violent too, actually. But that's the heart of this thing, man, is that asynchronous is going to, and that's exactly what you want. Asynchronous solves that mid-funnel problem where you're connecting with a lot of people, but in order to get them in a community, in order to really get to the bottom of the funnel, you need to utilize community to get them down. And so for us, WhatsApp was the perfect mid-funnel solution to get missionaries to our Equipping Digital Missionary course. Like when we're all done with this, I'll share some of the stats and numbers of where we are. But it was ridiculous how well WhatsApp performed for us in helping us get people plugged into the Equipping Digital Missionary course that we're offering right around the corner. So WhatsApp, 2 billion people globally. That's one of our things to expect in 25. The other thing that I said for number 4 was YouTube. And if there's a dark horse in this game for us, it's YouTube. Now, first off, YouTube, second largest search engine on the planet. YouTube, shorts, YouTube. We want to hack, we want to own, we want to take over. The Church Digital wants to take over YouTube. By the way, if you're not following us, please, it's youtube.com/thechurch.digital. Subscribe. Be nice. We've got almost 1,000 subscribers at this point. Barbara told me the other day it was her goal to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. She's developed a pretty rich strategy for how to do that, and excited to see that come to fruition. YouTube's where we meet the next generation of digital planters. It's already how we're meeting them now. People, I can't tell you how many times I've heard the story where people will go to their pastor, ask for permission to do something. The pastor says no. They go on Google to try to find somebody else that's doing it, and then they find some YouTube video of me talking about something about it. And then all of a sudden they're in our community, they're in our Discord, they're in our WhatsApp, they're talking face to face, they're watching a stream, and next thing you know, they're in an EDM course, the Equipping Digital Missionary course. Literally, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 of the people that are in EDM. That's their story. It's close to 10%, 6%. And so there's some vibe. I'm sure many more have been affected by YouTube as well. But YouTube is the way for us to connect in the future. YouTube right now, the algorithms are favoring. YouTube, the search engines are favoring. Right now, where it's interesting, digital missionary. If you Google digital missionary, the Church Digital, we should be ranking number 2 organically, all organically. Right now, you'll see, I believe, a blog that I wrote on what is a digital missionary. I believe that's ranking 2nd. And then on some of our YouTube videos, I think we're ranking 2 and 3. And so 1 and 2. And so it's the algorithms are really favoring YouTube content for whatever the reason. So we're gonna own YouTube. But the dark horse, the thing that I was talking with Andy about today, the thing that I cannot wait for, and I think it's coming in February, YouTube's coming out with a asynchronous community. If you Google YouTube, a new community, they announced it back in September, actually when we were in Lausanne, maybe early October, when the actual announcement came out. But YouTube's got a official blog where they talk about it. They are coming out with an asynchronous community. In my opinion, I think YouTube's going after Twitch and Discord. YouTube already is getting more views, obviously, than Twitch. Twitch is another technologically heavy, bandwidth heavy platform. A lot of our international users really can't use Twitch. There's one situation of a guy I know in the Middle East that was trying to watch this stream, not this stream, but a stream like this on Twitch, wasn't working. And so he clicked over and actually started watching it on YouTube, and then everything was fine. And so from a bandwidth perspective, YouTube is much lighter than that. And so the reach of what it's doing. But YouTube has always been community light. Yes, there's some community features. Yes, it's kind of behind it's, you got to get to a certain level to get there. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not real community. It's Facebook 1.0 is more community than what YouTube is. YouTube's much more about content than community. And they've come out and said that, and they've started giving some details that YouTube's coming out with asynchronous community. And when YouTube's asynchronous community comes out, if it's any good, if I were a digital church and I had one platform that could be my content and my community, unless I was doing specifically for gamers, I would choose YouTube over Discord. If it was apples to apples comparison, if it was, I don't know what a lesser apples to tomatoes, like it's if it was at least in the ballpark. Oh my gosh, the solidity of YouTube and what it means for other platforms through algorithms. Yeah, I would move that way. And so be on the watch out for YouTube. A lot of you that are doing ministry in this space, there's opportunities to capitalize on what YouTube is doing, and the little bit that you're investing now is going to pay off dividends down the road as this expands out. Like, it was funny. I say this. I'm not going to tell you the number, but I own Apple stock. When I was, I'm trying to put a number on this. 22. I graduated 21. When I was 21 years old, in the year, what would I have been? 99. In the year 1999, pre Y2K, I bought 10 shares of Apple stock. Now, let me date what that meant. Apple stock, 1999. Steve Jobs is not CEO of Apple. He had been excommunicated. He was trying to do whatever he was doing with a corporation called Next. He was running a small little startup nobody had heard of at the time called Pixar. He was doing a bunch of other stuff. Pixar actually spun off of Lucas's deal then, and Steve Jobs bought it from George Lucas. You could really get into this. The Pixar story is crazy. But Steve Jobs was not around. The best technology, this is way before iPhone. This is way before iPad. This is before Apple Watch. This is like iMacs were the triangle that would sit with the CRT monitors. These were, well, man, those are crazy, man. Don't sell on Apple. Phantom just put in that Berkshire Hathaway is selling a lot of their Apple holdings. No, don't sell on Apple. Apple's got legs, and they got what nobody else has is cash right now. Everybody's broke except for Apple. But dude, they were selling like Bondi blue iMacs. And they just expanded into indigo blue and candy apple red. And like that was, and it was, Apple shares were at like $8, $10. And, I was out of college. I didn't have much money. My mom's like, oh, here's whatever, like buy some stock, just almost as an experiment. And so I did. I bought a bunch of Apple. And then like a year later, Apple came out with the iPod, which was a revolutionary idea. And then I can't even tell you how many splits, how many whatever. But I looked up the other day how much stock I have in Apple right now. I'm not retiring off of Apple yet. I'm nowhere in the realities. I'm nowhere near that at this point. But dang, I wish I invested more than like $100 in the Apple at the time. It was funny. I bought like 10 stocks. And to be honest, I bought Intel. I bought some other tech companies. It was by far Apple was the best investment. Some others I did not perform as well as my Apple friends did. But I have no idea why I was telling that story. I went to Macworld in San Francisco in the year 2000 and got my charcoal iMac, a DV 15 gigs a few months later. Yeah, tall, skinny Kiwi. Anytime I tell an old grandpa story, tall, skinny Kiwi has to up me. Whitebeard would have to up me as well if he were around. So it's funny, like the two of them I feel like I was in a call the other day. Tall Skinny Kiwi, was that in a call the other day with you and Whitebeard? That was the two of you guys were in the room together, I want to say, right? Oh my gosh, that was like, if I could be in a room with two of those guys, I would just be a fly on the wall, just listening to their stories. It'd be a lot of fun. Don't sleep on YouTube. And if you all are not considering WhatsApp, you should be considering WhatsApp moving forward for some of the opportunities, especially in global space. All right. Hey, Melanie. We're picking up. All right. 5 things to expect in 25. Number 1, Church Digital is going global. Number 2, hey, we're getting some accountability towards that, bringing on a board, involving more and more people to hold us accountable. And really, the best way to hold us accountable is to get some dirt under your fingernails and join us in our work. Look and see where God is moving and join us in His work. Henry Blackaby. Number 3, we've got a huge number of partnerships and projects we're negotiating through now. Stay tuned. Number 4, YouTube and WhatsApp. There's going to be a lot more YouTube and there's going to be a lot more WhatsApp coming soon to the Church Digital as we move these ideas globally. And number 5 for the Church Digital, this is the one. This is the one that I'm like, this is the big one. And so I have like little birdie angels and demons on me right now. The birdie, the angel is Whitebeard. Don't say it, Jeff. Don't say it. Barbara is the other birdie next to Whitebeard. Don't say it, Jeff. Don't say it. And the other one is me saying, "Oh, say it, Jeff. Say it. Say it." Like I'm my worst enemy on this stuff. The reality is, yeah, flat cap with the sticker. It's beautiful. Hey, look, the reality is that, well, I've said this before. You know, Barbara comes on the Church Digital, and you know, when we started the Church Digital, it was I was trying to be everything for everyone. And the only way to make everyone happy is to sell ice cream, which is ironic. There's some stories centered around that, but that's what my executive pastor and friend used to always tell me. If you want to make everyone happy, Jeff, sell ice cream. And so we found Barbara helped us focus down to this digital missionary rate. And as we focused down the digital missionary, well, our open rates on like as an example, our open rates on our email skyrocketed. Like we've been much more successful with engagement now that we fine-tuned down the digital missionary. At the same time, a complementary statistic, our unsubscription rates have gone through the roof. So like we're a higher open rate and a higher we're not interested anymore rate as well simultaneously, because we really had 2 different audiences that we were reaching at the same time. The Church Digital, pre-Barbara, 23. We had digital missionaries and digital planters, and we had physical church doing digital ministry. And 24 has been really about aiming and creating that digital missionary framework, connect, community, equipping, and mobilization, and helping get that aimed at the digital missionaries through the Church Digital. And it's been very effective. Like I am not complaining here. Like the year 24 has been really good. towards connecting with people, getting them invited into community, building relationships, establishing trust, even to the point of equipping them to be a digital missionary now through EDM and what we'll soon find as mobilization. We'll get more mobilization next year. But the framework is in process for our digital missionary friends. And so we, the Church Digital, we're in beta with it, but we can see how the sausage is made, and like we're going to run that playbook for our digital missionaries. But we've got this whole other sector, this whole other audience group, this whole other section of people with the Church Digital that are hungry, that are looking for something. And it's these physical church ministry people that are doing digital ministry. It's the digital pastors and that are doing ministry in a physical space, where the lead pastor doesn't understand what they do, where budget is limited, volunteering is difficult to ascertain sometimes, and vision fluctuates because there's not a clear priority in what they're doing. Like, there's still an opportunity to do it, to help a physical church understand how to utilize digital well. But it's not through the Church Digital, because the Church Digital needs to stay focused on digital missionary work. You can't make everybody happy, but we've got digital missionaries as its focus, but there's this opportunity. And welcome to the quandary of me for the past 6 months, because it's like we're having success with one arm, but I'm alienating a completely other group here. So what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Okay, so we did something, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to wait. Now, I may come back. We may do some streams. We may make some announcements during the Christmas break. You may see me early January and say, "Hey, everything changed," but no, I really do. We've got a solid plan in place. Here's the deal. What I would tell you. I talk a lot about the digital framework. The people we connect with, physically or digitally, we want to invite them into a digital community. And within that digital community, we build relationships, we establish trust. Evangelism works best even in community. But through that community, we start to equip them through discipleship, but ultimately equip them to the goal of accomplishing something, whether that's for for our digital missionary work, it's mobilizing them, sending people out on the journey. For a physical church, that bottom funnel may look different. It may be like how to incorporate or how to integrate in digital into their strategy better. But the framework of connecting to community, to equipping, to whatever, like that is a very solid framework. And if you can clone that, if you can copy and paste that, it's almost like, oh man, I can almost run a completely separate version of the same playbook, but aimed at a different audience, and have the same successes by running an established, proven, successful framework, just in a different context. It's the goal of, is it better to be 1 million person church or 100,000 churches of 10? I would always say 100,000 churches of 10, because you can get an established framework, copy and paste it, that can give you a different context. And so I would almost invite you to even look at your own ministry and how you are connecting how you're communicating, how you're connecting, what a community looks like, how using that community for a purpose of equipping or discipleship, and then through the relationships that are developed through the equipping, what's the end game at the bottom of the funnel? How are you using the community to solve the mid funnel problem to get to whatever the bottom is? We're gonna have some fun in 25. Whether you're a digital missionary, whether you're a physical church doing digital physical church doing digital ministry, 25 is going to be a great kingdom year. That being said, Jesus is going to come back, in the next 48 hours to save America from the election. No, I'm kidding. Not really, though. It's funny. We were even talking about this is the post-credit scene in the church digital. We were talking about we've actually worked very hard to not be political in this U.S. season of that, and guys, in the grand scheme of things, I am not a politically minded person. Like I don't put much stock in that. But I do know in Romans that all leadership was installed by God. So either that was a contextualized comment at the time and is not relevant to where we are today, or the electoral college process in the United States operates outside of the purview of God, or God's in control and whatever is going to happen will happen. I tell you what, I know how I would want to look at that situation as a Christian. Anyway, be praying for your country, even if you're overseas. We'll be praying. I say that was negative. That was bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. But regardless, America or not, like, be praying for your country's leadership. I've told this story. My daughter came up to me. This is several. My daughter's 16 now. I don't think she would remember the story, but she came up to me when she was probably 8. Like, it's been a minute since this story. We were living in Austin at the time, and she says to me, "Now you got to realize my daughter's sophomore in college. She's taking college level sophomore in high school. My daughter's a sophomore in high school. She's taking college level calculus as a sophomore in high school. She will be valedictorian of her school as long as she doesn't do something stupid or crash. But she's incredibly smart and gifted. Not like me, very much like her mother. But my daughter comes up to me when she's 8 years old and she says, 'Daddy, when I grow up, I want to be the president of the United States.' And I did a very undaddy-like thing. I laughed in her face and said, 'Oh God, I hope not.' That was my knee-jerk reaction. And so she looked at me, perplexed, like, an 8-year-old girl would at her father who just laughed at her. And I was like, 'Well, sweetie, that's a really hard job. And I think you can do it, but there's so much stress and there's no way to succeed at that job anymore.' Our leaders need to be prayed for, regardless of who's in what seat or who's in what power or who has what ahead of them or behind them or what amendment was voted on or who's in what chair. Who was it? It was Elijah in the Kings, the prophet, who's like, you don't need a prophet, you need God, but you don't need a king, you need God. But since you don't want to listen to God, fine, here's your king, Saul. All right, you want a king? Take your pick. Get out there and vote and pray for whoever God installs as president or whatever your position is globally. Samuel, I'm hearing it. Samuel. Who did I say? I think I said Samuel. Yeah, I'll pretend. I'm not the Old Testament scholar, but a lot of my disdain is too strong of a word. I said Elijah. I'm sorry. You're right. A lot of my disdain for politics is centered around that. We deserve a God. We don't deserve a king. And so much of our world is now wrapped up in our kings. We should be more focused on our God. And on that note, I think we are going to wrap up episode 320 of the Church Digital Podcast, and therefore all podcasts for 2024. You're keeping score at home. 5 tips, 5 things to expect from the Church Digital in 2025. Hey, baby, we going global. Hey, we are getting accountability. And with that accountability, somebody's going to one day fire me, which is awesome. I cannot wait for that day. But ultimately, if you want to be accountable, pick up and get some dirt under your nails and help me load the trailer. There's a lot of partnerships and there's a lot of projects we've got coming up through the Church Digital that are very exciting at a global scale. YouTube and WhatsApp, if you're buying stock at home, invest in those two. Yes, okay, as long as Meta, Facebook does not screw up WhatsApp, it's going to take over the world. Hopefully they don't do anything stupid. And number 5, physical church is doing hybrid. Stay tuned. More coming very soon. And with that, we're going to land the plane. I have been Jeff with the Church Digital. Enjoy 2024. If you're American, eat some turkey. Around the world, celebrate Christmas. Love on some family. And stay tuned. I'll be doing some more streams. I'll be hanging out in the communities and open offices like normal. But the podcast, we're done for the year and look for a coming back in 2025. For everybody in the room, Tall Skinny Kiwi, whoever else has been hanging out with us, Flat Cap, Ukulele, Starlith, Phantom, just scrolling through the list here real quick. I think that was it. Lewinson was here for a while. Thanks for being a part of this. For everybody else, thanks for being a part of 24 with us. We'll see you in 25. You all have a good one.